So today I'm going to show you how to make a really quick and easy carnivore snack that you can take away with you if you're going out in the car or going fishing or whatever, going to the movies even. And that is dried meat, chips, crisps, whatever you want to call them. Really easy, 2 ingredients, just some meat and some salt. Now what I use to make mine most of the time is schnitzel. So this is schnitzel from my son's cows, and so being New Zealand, they're all grass-fed anyway, but nice grass-fed, homegrown cows that my boy grows at his place. And I used to, when we were in Australia, I used to make biltong for quite a while, and then I haven't done any dried meat until going onto the carnivore diet. And so this is how I make these nice thin dried meat, and some of it's crunchy, some of it's not, but it's really easy to make and it doesn't take very long. So you don't need to have a dehydrator to do this. You can do it in the oven using just putting it onto a rack in the oven and putting your oven onto the lowest temperature it'll go onto. If you have a fan bake setting, that's the best setting to use, so that way you've got airflow. But even without that, you can still do it. The reason I use the schnitzel is it's nice and thinly cut anyway. You might be able to get your butcher to cut them nice and thin depending on your butcher, or if you've got a meat slicer, you can slice your own meat and cut it really paper thin as well. But the schnitzel, I'll show you the thickness when I start doing this, but the schnitzel starts off quite a bit thicker than this, and then by the time it's dehydrated, it actually ends up quite thin. So let's have a look at how to actually do this.
All right, so here I have my schnitzel, and as you can see, that's cut quite thin, but as I said, if you are wanting it thinner than that, you can see if your butcher can maybe do it, or get yourself a meat slicer and you can cut it paper thin if you want to, and make your dried meat more crispy. So I'm just going to pop a slice onto each of these wire racks. So these wire racks are for my Ninja Foodie, but you can dry your meat, as I said, in the oven if you want to do that, just on the lowest setting and with the fan going if possible. So now I'm just going to sprinkle some salt onto the meat. Now how much salt? Probably about as much as you would want onto maybe a steak or something like that. You don't want it overly salty, but you definitely want to be able to taste the salt. And I'm just going to pat the salt down a little bit and make sure that it's kind of reasonably stuck to the meat. And then I'm going to turn my meat over and put some salt on the other side. So you don't really need to do both sides, but I do both sides because I just like it like that. And the salt that I'm using is actually a New Zealand unprocessed sea salt. I also quite often buy Celtic sea salt, but you could use Himalayan salt or Redmond's real salt or anything like that. Just make sure that it's an unprocessed salt and not the yucky white sodium chloride that is so often sold in the supermarkets, just because that processed salt quite often contains flow agents and things like that as well. And so now I'm ready to put the meat into the dehydrator. So the Ninja Foodie that we have has a dehydrate mode on there. And so basically all I have to do is turn it on and push the button, and it has an automatic setting. The setting on this one is right over on the right hand side, and it basically puts it onto 60 degrees. I think it can go lower than that, I actually haven't checked. And the time, I've put it onto 6 hours, but it actually only took 4 hours to dry the meat. So you can see that the meat there is looking quite nice and dry. If you wanted it to be dry, you could leave it a bit longer, but 4 hours was plenty long enough for my meat.
It's that easy. It took 4 hours in the dehydrator, but I could have taken it out at 3 because I did take it out and test a piece off the top. But if you listen, that's a kind of got a crunch to it. Some of it does. You could dehydrate it a bit longer or a bit less time. As I mentioned, you can do it in the oven if you don't have a dehydrator or a something like the Ninja Foodie to dehydrate in. And all you do is just put it on the rack in the oven, on a rack in the oven, and put your oven on the lowest setting. And if you've got a fan bake setting, turn the fan on because that'll really help as well. So yeah, that's it. The way that I store my dried meat, that was the other thing, is I put it into a paper bag, and you can either store it in the pantry if you've got somewhere cool, or in the fridge. And the reason for putting it in the paper bag is that the fat on the meat still has moisture in it. So if you put it into a plastic bag, sometimes it'll go slimy. Where in the paper bag, it allows it to kind of wick any moisture out into the paper, and you'll find that the paper will go kind of oily looking, the paper bag will go oily looking. But that's the way that I always used to store my biltong when I was making it, because I used to make biltong for quite a while, a few years ago. And so it works really well to store the dried meat. But usually doesn't last long enough to actually go bad or go slimy. It gets eaten pretty quickly. So yeah, so that's it for today. If you like this video, if you have any comments or questions, fire away below. If you like the video, make sure to hit that like button. Also hit the subscribe button as well, and to make sure that you don't miss any future content. Thank you very much for watching. I will talk to you again another day. Bye bye.